What up? Yo, 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 happy Saturday night, everybody. Hope you're having a good one. GT Racer, what up, bro? How you doing? Happy Saturday. Just wanted to say real quick, in case anyone is catching this video in the next 2 days while the giveaway is still live, I posted a giveaway on Instagram yesterday, and it is going to be running until Monday night, February 1st at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So real quick, I'm going to run through the giveaway items. All you have to do to enter here on YouTube is give this video a thumbs up when the video is over. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have the notifications turned on. And leave a comment down below, not in the chat section of this live stream, but after the video is posted and processed, leave a comment down below. And yeah, that'll be one entry into the giveaway. If you want to enter more than once, go over and follow me on Instagram. Make sure that you check out the post over there, because I am going to give credit to Riley Belden, one of our loyal followers and subscribers here on the channel. Looks like she's in the chat already and has thrown a donation of $2 my way. Thank you so much, Riley. I really appreciate you. Hope you guys are having a great night. Justin is in here as well. What's up, guys? So, I'm just going to run through this. First is the 6 cents Quake 70 lipless crankbait in the chrome thread fin shad color. Okay? This is like a, chrome and blue back. Awesome lipless crankbait. That guy weighs 5/8 of an ounce, 70 millimeters long, given the name of it. It's got kind of a high-pitched rattle to it. Not overly loud, but has a great action to it. So next up is the 6 cents Curve 55 medium diving crankbait. This is in the awesome Craw Bomb color. Both of these baits were provided by Riley, were sent to me about a month ago, and we did not necessarily work out whether these were going in the giveaway or not, but I decided to go ahead and do so and request that people follow her on Instagram as part of the giveaway rules. So while we're on the same topic of mid-diving crankbaits, decided to throw in a Norman middle N, and this is in the sour grape color. So you get a chartreuse purple back. Awesome little mid-diver. Also weighs 3/8 of an ounce. It dives about the same depth as that Curve 55, just a little bit deeper in that 7 to 9 foot range, whereas the Curve is going to go in that like 5 to 9, but usually a little bit shallower. Next up is a little bit more of a classic. This is the Storm Wigglewort in the Phantom Brown crayfish color. One of my absolute favorite colors, and one that is just super popular all around. Now, the Wigglewort is known to be an Ozarks specialist type of bait, but it does work everywhere. It's a little bit louder, and will dive a little bit deeper than the others if you put it on light test. So that one, is in the 7 to 12 foot diving depth. And what's cool about these is you get that louder rattle. These are all small body crankbaits in that mid diving range. The Wigglewort has a relatively wide wobble and a loud rattle. The Curve 55 has a little bit tighter of a wobble and a slightly quieter knock to it. And then the Norman middle N is actually made out of butyrate, which is what Norman makes their baits out of. And so it puts off a different sound altogether. I've got 2 more crankbaits in here, and these are the Berkeley Flicker Shad in the size 7. So 2 different colors, one in black silver and one in blue tiger. Both of these were also provided by Riley. And then lastly, the 7th bait in the giveaway is the new Strike King Little Ledge Spoon. This was designed by Mark Rose. As you can see on the packaging, this is in the yellow perch pattern. So really cool bait here. It does weigh an ounce and measures less than 4 inches long. So really cool deal there. Guys, is my internet tripping or is that just me? One more time, all you got to do to enter this giveaway is here on YouTube. Make sure that you like the video, be subscribed to the channel, leave a comment down below after the video is done. So again, this little edge spoon weighs an ounce, great for vertical jigging in particular, and is designed a little bit differently than most jigging spoons, where it's got curvature in the middle of the bait instead of on the ends. It's a little bit more streamlined on both ends. It's got a built-in premium swivel and a must-add triple grip hook. So you can fish this straight out of the package. I did post a photo of this bait on Instagram today. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to see more information on all of these baits up close and personal over the next 2 days before the giveaway is over. So we got 7 baits here. Retail value is somewhere between 40 and 50 bucks. And there's going to be one lucky winner come Monday night. So good luck to everybody entering. Like I said, if you want to enter over on Instagram, you can enter as many times as you want. All you have to do is tag 2 of your friends. Make sure that you're following me and Riley, and you're good to go. So, hope you guys enjoy the giveaway. I'll run through that one more time before we hop out of here. But just want to catch up with you guys in the comment section, tell you about something that I did today, and we'll just chit-chat a little bit. Jigging with Jack, what's up, dude? I don't know that I recognize your name. Good to see you in here, though. Appreciate it. GT Racer says, I got skunked today. Shucks, man. Sorry to hear that. Ryan says he caught a bunch of jumbo perch and some walleye today. Right on. But it was a bit cold at -20. I hope... Are you talking Fahrenheit? Or do you live in Canada and are you talking Celsius? Because either way, man, that is cold stuff. Talking about the Super Bowl, Riley? Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. You know, I'm probably going to put a little bit of money on the Chiefs myself, but I might actually bet both ways and put some money on, like, the spread or on, you know, who's going to win by X number of points. I do a little bit of online gambling, sports betting myself. Not too much. I just recently got into it, but, you know, it's tough to beat the Chiefs because they are such a dominant team, but the Bucks have been surprisingly steady this year and a very well-rounded team. So it's tough to bet against Tom Brady because this is his 10th Super Bowl. So I don't know what to tell you. Neil Bone, what's up, dude? How you doing? Not too much happening. I just announced the giveaway rules and trying to give you guys an opportunity to enter here on YouTube as opposed to just Instagram. So I do have a giveaway running for the next 2 days. It'll be over Monday night at about this time. So all you got to do is make sure that you leave a comment in the section below, not in the chat, after this video is over. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. So anyway, I'm going to move on and tell you guys a little bit about what I did today. I filmed a little bit of underwater footage in my kitchen. I use my sink sometimes, which we've got a giant sink. It's all metal interior, so it actually looks somewhat reasonable. If you've seen any of my old videos, like my how to rig, the Ned rig, and videos like that, maybe you would have seen some of that footage. What I did was throw some of those jigs. Last week we talked about like the Bitsy Bug jig, and I recommended a lot of my favorite trailers for these kind of finesse, mini, not quite micro jigs. And I recorded about 8 or 10 of them underwater, different jigs, different trailers, to show you guys what it looks like up close and in slow motion. So I'm going to post a video on that sometime soon. I also, while I was at it, decided to pull out a bunch of Ned rig baits that are not made by Z-Man to just see what the action was like. So I'm going to tell you guys about what I found so you can have an idea of what you're going to see in these videos coming up. But it was a pretty cool deal. Ryan says it was -45 with the wind here. Shoo. Saskatchewan, though. So you are talking Celsius. Okay. Thank God. I was going to say minus 20 is ridiculous. Minus 20 Celsius is probably, what, 10 degrees Fahrenheit? Chilly, but not necessarily bone chilling. So anyway. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Ryan. Guys, there's 9 people in here right now. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, do me that favor real quick. There's 7 thumbs up right now. And, all right, Neil's asking, what are some of your favorite baits behind you? These are mostly soft plastics behind me. So let's see here. I've got swim baits up here to my left. And then I've got just a wide variety of soft plastics. Next to me, I've got a fair amount on the wall, but I've got a whole lot more in these boxes and in these tubs next to me. So it's tough to say, but I would probably pick some of these swim baits. I'll give you like my top 5 medium to large swim baits. This is a bait that is discontinued, so I don't know that it's fair for me to recommend it to you guys, but this is the Megabass 7-inch Spark Shad. Really cool swim bait here because it's got that Spark Shad tail, which does have a little bit more action than a lot of other baits. A little bit closer to, say, the Kitech, which here I've got in the 6.8. So these baits are very similar in terms of profile and action. You get just a little bit more tail in the Kitech, but both of these baits are wicked, especially for cold water fishing and warm water fishing when the fish are lethargic. So I like the realism of the Spark Shad a little bit better because you get those fins and you get those eyes, and the body profile is just tapered a little bit more like a fish. Now, I do also throw the Mag Draft Freestyle. This is probably a little bit more of a go-to for me in all water conditions. And being 6 inches, it's quite a bit smaller than the 7-inch Spark Shad. So I get more bites on the Mag Draft Freestyle than I do on the Spark Shad. However, I prefer this bait to, say, the 5-inch Spark Shad just because it's a little bit more durable. It's a little bit more realistic, and I can fish this thing just a tad faster. There's a sweet spot in terms of speed and action with the Mag Draft, and it's really at like a medium speed retrieve. I also throw the Optimum Baits Boom Boom swim bait. This is a 6-inch swim bait designed by Fred Rumbanis after the old BPS or Bass Pro XPS swim bait, which was discontinued. And then the Scottsboro Tackle, this is the 6-inch. I also throw it in the 5-inch. So the swim baits, as far as what's on the wall, are probably my favorite. But, you know, tough to say, man. I really like the Miyagi swimmer from Beast Coast as well. Here's that 5-inch from Scottsboro Tackle. Really killer bait there. So, anyway, let me catch up on these comments real quick. No way, Neil. You just hooked up the same tiny brush hog. That's pretty sweet, man. Yeah, I also have some of those Bass Magic swim baits. I don't throw hollow belly swim baits all that frequently, to be honest with you. I just am relatively newer to the bass fishing game, and hollow bellies were all the rage like 10 years ago, but I've only gotten into bass fishing like 5 or so years ago. So I like solid body swim baits. I just like the way that they rig up and the way that they swim a little bit better. And that's all personal preference. I know that hollow belly swim baits are still all the rage in certain parts of the country, and it is what it is. So Riley says, also just got our New Jersey new jerseys. We have a new sponsor that was pretty surprising. Guggen Baits and Favorite Rods. Interesting. Guggen Baits is sponsoring your high school fishing team. That's kind of fascinating. Very interesting. Hey, Sam. Greetings. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Good to see you in here. And welcome, dude. Hope you're doing well up in Minnesota. I know it's probably freezing up there. All right, let's talk about these small jigs. I did test like 3 or 4 different jigs, and I'll explain the subtle differences that I found out about these. They're all Arky style jig heads. So what you're going to find is that if you're not holding these with a tight line, they are going to want to tend to roll over. And it's part of the game. It's part of that head style. But if you're using a very buoyant soft plastic, they will stand up a little bit better. So anyway, I did not use any Z-Man plastics on these. So I'm going to first start with the Strike King Bitsy Bug. And I'm pretty sure all the ones that I used were in the 1/8 ounce size. This is a black and blue Bitsy Bug with a Zoom tiny brush hog on it in the June bug color. And I will say I was very surprised and satisfied with the action on this bait. I've used it before. I've been happy with it. But the kickers on the brush hog do a lot of work when you swim the bait through the column. And then, of course, you can drag it, work it just like you would a standard or baby brush hog. And this was one of my favorites. A sleeper for sure. And not a bait that I hear many people talk about very frequently, to be honest with you. Then I did throw a Bitsy Bug with the baby Rage Bug on it. And that's one that I've really been enjoying the past year since it was released at, I want to say, the 2019 ICAST show. So that's a killer pairing, in my opinion. I did end up cutting down and trying the baby Rage Bug on the back of this Missile Baits Ike's mini flip jig or micro jig. I think this is the micro jig. And to be honest with you, I was not super impressed with the jig itself. I got a lot more action out of the skirt once I trimmed it up, but this head style being round like it is, almost oval shaped, really wanted to roll over, and I was not too happy with that. That said, that baby Rage Bug and this TRD Craws were perfect on the new Kitech Mono Spin Jig. This is not a new jig, but new to me. As you guys saw, I just unboxed it last week, and I'm very impressed with it. It's only 1/16 of an ounce in weight, and it's tungsten, so very tiny profile. And because of that lightweight, this thing falls really slow, and when paired up with the TRD Craws, it stands straight up. It's got a perfectly round jig head, but because of the buoyancy of the plastic, this thing stands straight up. And that was a really cool thing to find out. And to be honest, if you had to choose between the Kitech Mono Spin Jig and the Ike's Micro Jig, I would pick the Kitech jig every day of the week. It was that good. So I did have one other pairing of the Bitsy Bug, and that was with the Yum Ned Craw. And I was pretty satisfied with that, to be honest with you. This Ned Craw is a fairly buoyant bait, though I think it's going to excel on the back of a Ned rig more so than a jig. It is just kind of a dead action bait, and so if you're slow dragging a jig, it could be a great application for that. But it doesn't stand up too much, and it doesn't move very much, so it limits you in terms of how you can fish the bait and where you are going to fish the bait primarily. Sam says, yeah, it's my birthday tomorrow, so I'm going to skate and ice fish with some buddies. Right on, dude. Tip ups while playing hockey. That sounds great, man. Happy early birthday to you, Sam. How old are you turning? If you don't mind me asking. Neil says, I know Mike Akinelli likes to fish too. The mini flip jig with a chigger craw. Yeah, sure. I am not saying that's probably a bad pairing, but I think the mini flip jig is different than the micro jig itself. So this micro jig is like a 1/8 ounce. I think the mini flip comes in much heavier weights if you so choose to do so. Okay, next up was the Stanley jig that I was sent by Justin in Wyoming. He sent me a couple of these. And to be honest with you, it's got this rattle dangling off the bottom, and I might remove it because it really got in the way and made the bait want to roll over at rest. Now the skirt is really high quality, awesome colors, and because of this like summer craw pattern, it was almost glowing in the water. So really cool deal with that. It's got an interesting O'Shaughnessy style hook on it. Very different than most that you'd see. Heavy weed guard. And I paired it up with a Baby Rage Menace grub. And I've always been a fan of the Menace grub in all sizes. I think it has a nice subtle kicking action to it, but it does have more action than something that is a little bit more of like a standard beaver. Now, what I was really surprised with was the next one up. This is the Booyah Baby Boo Jig. Sam's turning 15 tomorrow, guys. Wish him a happy birthday in the comment section. Hope you have a great day. Hope you catch some fish, score some goals against your buddies, man. Have a good one. Yeah, I hear you, Neil. Rattles can definitely get in the way sometimes. I'm going to show you a jig in a second where they don't get in the way. A jig that I do recommend. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name of it, but this is the Booyah Baby Boo Jig. It's got a really cool skirt on it that is very fine silicone. It's got more strands than you'd find on most jigs this size. It's got a solid weed guard and a nice kind of medium light wire hook. And I've got it paired up with the Berkeley Pit Boss Jr. And this is the old one, the Havoc. They now make it in power bait, so it's all that much better. But what I was really surprised with the Pit Boss Jr. was the amount of action when you decide to fish this bait faster. So those outside claws will really swim and kick almost like a rage bug, where the inside claws don't do much. Now, if you fish the bait slower, it has a really nice subtle action. So on like a hopping style, it has more of a wavy, flapping type of action that's beautifully subtle. But when you work the bait faster, you hop it up higher or you swim it, those side kickers will actually do a much better job kicking than, say, the Rage Menace grub or the Baby Rage Bug. I was super impressed with that. So I'm going to use that bait that much more moving forward. And now right along the same lines, this is the final one I'm going to talk about in terms of these mini jigs. This pairing is one of my favorites. So this is the Jewel Baits finesse jig, and I forget what they call this. So it's got a finesse cut skirt, and it doesn't come with the rattles built in. It comes with the rattle system. So it comes with the guard on it so that you can put your own rattles inside. Let me see if I can show you that up close. Russ Dennis, what's up, dude? Hope you're having a good night. So take a look at where the rattles are supposed to go. It's cool because it's got these on there, and what happens is when you're fishing the jig, it'll rest right on those. So more than any of these other jigs, this thing does not want to roll over nearly as much. It wants to stay bottom down, which I really, really like. Because if you're using a wide variety of soft plastic trailers, it is going to have just a subtle float up. It does have a really fine wire weed guard on there. But what's cool is you can insert your own rattles right into these guys, and it doesn't really affect the action of the bait. So you can buy, glass rattles or these plastic rattles kind of wherever, and they're really easy to insert. So you just do it like that. And then listen, you got a nice rattle on there. Every time it hits the bottom or you lift the bait up, you've got a good little rattle on there. So I like that feature, whether or not you use the rattles. Very easy to take the rattles out or put them back in. And even without the rattles in, I like the action of the jig. This one also has an O'Shaughnessy style hook, a little bit more light wire. And the jig trailer I'm using on here is the Kitech Crazy Flapper in the 2.8 inch. This is the peanut butter and jelly color, perfect match on this jig, and I absolutely love it. I've been talking about this pairing for the last year or two, and I'm not going to stop fishing it. So I've got a few of these jigs. I've got a few different colors, maybe a handful of different colors in this bait. This 2.8 inch Crazy Flapper is a lot more versatile than you'd think, and it's got a ton of action to it. So that is probably my favorite, followed by the Pit Boss Junior, followed by the Tiny Brush Hog, and then the Baby Rage Bug. So, of course, there's a million baits like that on the market, tons of options for you, but just my 2 cents on a few that I got to try out, tank test, and see what they look like underwater and on camera. So you guys will see what that looks like here coming up soon. Now I want to talk to you about some of the Ned rig baits that I tried underwater today and some differences that I saw between these baits. I threw 10 different Ned rig baits that are not made by Z-Man, and had some very interesting observations because they all fish a little bit differently. Jack Erickson, what's up, dude? Neil says, I like that rattle system, very nice. Bait that I like to use for a trailer on jigs is the Zoom Z-Craw. Yeah, I do too, for sure, but it's too big, even in its junior size, to throw on any of these. So that's more of a standard size jig trailer for sure. But these are all 3-inch baits, 3-inch soft plastics. So the Z-Craw Junior is 3.5, and the Z-Craw is 4 or 4 plus. Those are bigger baits for sure, but I do have some of them in both sizes, and I throw those quite frequently. A little bit less on a standard jig, more so on a wobblehead primarily, followed by a chatterbait second. But great bait for sure, man. And there's Jack saying Z-Craw Jr. on chatterbait. Yep, that's a good one. Faux show. All right, guys, let's talk about Ned rig baits for a hot minute. As I said, I threw 10 different baits that are all standard soft plastics, not Z-Man. So in general, these are not super, super buoyant. However, I saw a pretty wide range in their ability to float. So first up was the Missile Baits Ned Bomb. Really cool bait here. If you guys aren't already familiar with this one, they now make it in 2 larger sizes, and it's called the Quiver. So they make it in a 4.5 and a 6.5. This is a very erratic worm. Now, the Ned Bomb is just a 3-inch bait with that almost 1-inch long spade tail, and this thing has a crazy action when you lift and fall. It wants to just dart all over the place. Now, it does have like a medium, like a neutral buoyancy to it. So if you hop it, it has a reasonable chance of settling when you're using a mushroom style jig head. Keep in mind, I was using a standard Z-Man Finesse Shrooms jig head, so it is a little bit more squared off. So I gave these baits their best chance to stand up. And I will say, once you start dragging this bait at all, it lays right down. If you hop it erratically, it's like 50-50 or a little bit less where this is going to stand up. You really have to be intentional about lifting and dropping that thing almost straight down for it to land and stand straight up. So not necessarily a bad thing that it doesn't always stand up, but something that I did notice. It's going to look a little bit more like a scared bait fish darting all around, which can be a really cool action. No, Sam, you did not miss the giveaway. I'll run through it one more time real quick, man. You got two 6 cents baits. We've got the Quake 70 lipless crankbait. We've got the Curve 55 medium diving crankbait, wigglewort style bait. Speaking of wiggleworts, we've got one wigglewort. We've got one Norman middle end. We've got two Berkeley flicker shads. And lastly, we've got one Strike King little ledge spoon. All are in the giveaway. You have until Monday night to enter the giveaway. All you have to do if you want to enter here on YouTube is wait until this stream is over. Give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Not in the chat over here, but in the comment section down below the video. And you'll be entered. If you want to enter over on Instagram, go follow me over there. My handle is hooksets.rfree. And you can find my post from yesterday. Enter as many times as you want just by tagging 2 of your buddies. Making sure that you're following me and Riley Belden here from our chat. Yeah, Neil, I was literally just talking about tiny jigs, ranging from 1/16 to like 3/16. We're not talking standard jigs in general. We're talking mini jigs bordering on micro jigs. So anyway, look out for that video coming up relatively soon. So first was that Missile Baits Ned Bomb. As I said, that thing's super erratic. Next up was, can anyone name this bait? I'll give you guys 20 seconds. This one should be very easy for you to name. This was not even the color that I threw. This right here is the X Zone Lures Ned Zone. Okay, this might have been my favorite bait in all the underwater footage that I recorded today. And the reason is that it is super buoyant. Okay, this thing stands up like 100% of the time. It is not made from Elastec. This is standard soft plastic, but there is no salt in it, and it stands up incredibly well. Yet, it is limber and waves around, and that bulbous tail does its thing. It has a perfectly subtle action, very, very impressive, and I cannot recommend that bait enough. The X Zone Lures Ned Zone, okay? Then I threw, let's see here. This right here is the Robo Worm 3-inch Ned Worm. Really great bait. Just like you'd find with all Robo Worm soft plastics, they make incredible colors because these are essentially robotic hand-poured worms. So super salty and very, very cool colors. Now, I was a little bit pleasantly surprised at how almost neutrally buoyant this bait is. It has a lot of tail action because it's pretty limber. For a 3-inch bait, I think this is an awesome drop shot wacky rig type of bait. If you threw this on a drop shot and wacky rigged it, I think it would be absolutely killer. But on a Ned rig, what I found was it had some good action on the fall, and when it lands, because it kind of waves there for a second, and then it slowly lays down every single time. So it does not stand straight up really ever, except right when it hits, and then it lays down. So I liked it. Didn't necessarily love it. I would give it like a, I don't know, 7 out of 10, mostly because of the color schemes. Okay, next up is the Strike King Rage Cutter Worm. Now, there are a few different baits that Rage Tail has put out for the Ned rig in the past couple of years. I think they put them all out at the same time 2 years ago, but I only tried out 2 of them today because I focused on worms. I did not throw craw style baits or beaver style baits or anything other than worms themselves. So this is unique because it has a swimming tail. Not a boot tail, but that cutter worm style tail. So just like the speed worm or the Strike King cutter worm, this has the same type of action, but in a downsized profile. So 3-inch bait, ton of action on the swim, but that is really the application that you're going to use it for. So again, this is one of those baits where you're really only going to work the bait in one specific way. So going to rig it, let it fall to the bottom, and then slow reel and just let that tail do its thing. If you kill this bait, it is going to roll over and your chances of snagging are going to go through the roof, okay? That was the main takeaway I had with that bait, is that it wants to roll over like without fail. Like every single time, that bait is going to roll over. So I'm not quite sure why, but while we're on the topic, next is the Strike King Ned Ocho. And if you guys don't know, the Ocho is essentially their Senko style bait that they make. It is a 8-sided soft plastic and is a great Senko style bait, but this guy right here has no salt in it. The Ned Ocho is surprisingly buoyant. I was very impressed with this as well, and I had been sleeping on this bait, thought that it wasn't going to be as good as it turned out to be today. So this one kind of jumped up in my ranks a little bit, and is one that I will plan to fish a little bit more this year because of its profile. And the fact that the tail is so tapered, I will pretty much only fish this on a Ned rig. I'm a lot less likely to fish this on a drop shot. But very cool bait here. And because it's got these ribs all along it and these different sides, I think it's going to have some interesting action, or the way that it's going to displace water is going to be very interesting. So now, let's get into the Googan Baits Rattlin' Ned. Looks like a few people jumped out of the chat here, have jumped out of the stream, are no longer hanging out, and that's fine. No big deal. We're not going to be in here too much longer, but this guy right here is the Googan Baits Rattlin' Ned. Very cool concept. Good design because they put a rattle in the tail of the bait. There's a glass rattle that comes stock in every one of these baits. So you do pay a little bit of a premium for that. The rattle is automatically in the tail. So this is one of the more expensive Ned rig baits on the market. And I will say it is the least buoyant that I tried out. This thing has a very dead action to it, and it lays down very fast. So it doesn't matter how you fish the bait. This thing wants to lay down every single time. Has a very ugly dead style action to it. As I said, I really like the concept of the bait, having the rattle in it, but very unimpressed with the action of the bait. And to be honest, the plastic is super soft. So as you get bit, that bait is not going to last very long. What you're going to have to do is either use some Mend It, or you're going to have to get creative and re-rig it on a different side of the bait. So if you're going to throw the rattle and Ned, as in Riley, if you're in here still and you've got some incentive to use the rattle and Ned, I would get it in solid colors where it doesn't matter which way you rig it. That way you can just take your hook out, turn the bait 45 degrees, and rig it on the other side, and hopefully last a couple more fish before you have to rig something else up. Okay? What's up, Tim? Just found the chat button on your iPad. No problem, man. Good to see you in here. Thanks for contributing to the chat, because nobody has said anything for like the last 5 minutes or so. I don't know if people are bored with Ned rigs or what, but I've only got 2 more baits here to talk about, maybe 3. And then we can open it up to anything you guys want to talk about before I dip out of here. But this is a bait you need to know about. Really boring looking. This is the Yum Ned Dinger. Okay? They make it in some very plain Jane looking colors. Kind of these like muted, faded type of colors. But what you need to know is that this has no salt in it and is super, super buoyant. So it stands straight up. And it's a do-nothing type of bait, but it's got a little bit of a wave type of action to it, but stands up really, really well. So kind of ugly colors, but really good action, stands up straight. Now, what's cool about this bait is it has an air pocket in the tail, okay? So from, the last quarter of an inch in the tail is hollow. So it is designed to where you can insert a rattle. So I've taken the rattle out of the Googan Baits Rattle and Ned, and you just shove it right in the tail of that Yum Ned Dinger, okay? And guess what? This thing is still like 60% or more buoyant. It wants to stand up very well, even with the added weight of the rattle in the tail. So let me just tell you now, it is not very expensive to buy your own rattles. And these baits, I think, cost $3 a pack. So they're very cheap. Whereas those Rattle and Neds from Googan are super expensive. They're like $6 or $7 a pack. So you can buy a pack of Yum Dingers and a pack of glass rattles for a lot less than you can buy a pack of Rattle and Neds, and you'll be better off. Because this thing is going to fish like a Ned rig should be fished. It's going to stand up when you want it to, and it's going to have that added sound of the rattle. So really cool little deal there with the Yum Ned Dinger. That's something you guys need to be aware of, something you should check out. Yeah. Tim, I also throw those Lifted Jigs Ned EWGs. It's an awesome little option, dude. The thing about the Ned rig is that it does hang up a fair amount, okay? So if you're using a plastic that is not super buoyant, that thing is going to want to roll over and you're going to snag anything around, whether it's rock or brush, weeds, anything, okay? And you're going to lose a lot of jig heads when you're fishing the wrong soft plastics. So Lifted Jigs made this Ned EWG. So it's a mushroom style head with an EWG hook on there. It's got a 1/0 VMC EWG hook, and that is going to make your Ned rig a whole lot more weedless. So really cool idea there and very practical. I highly, highly recommend these heads, and I've got them in probably 5 or 6 different colors. Definitely recommend them. Yeah, I typically use anywhere from a 1/10 to a 1/15 ounce mushroom style jig head. I typically use the Z-Man Finesse Shrooms jig head. Now, I do play around a little bit because so many companies make them now, but this Finesse Shrooms jig head is kind of my go-to. I do also throw the ones from Trocar, the ones from Owner, the ones from Gamakatsu. Like I said, those lifted jigs, Ned EWGs. If you want to beef up a little bit, you're around bigger fish, harder fighting fish, the Z-Man Ned locks are a great option too. A little bit of a different bait keeper and a heavier gauge hook on there. So we could go on and on about Ned rig hooks, especially because now everybody and their mom makes them. Tungsten is a totally different conversation that we could talk about as well. But Ron Holly in the building, too busy taking notes to chat. No worries, dude. All right, there is one more bait that I want to talk about. Don't forget that Yum Ned Dinger. Absolute sleeper. Yum is just a company that doesn't get a lot of love, and that's fine. A lot of people love the Yum Dinger because it's a super cheap alternative to the Senko. But to be honest with you, it's a very, very different bait than the Senko, and it falls like 4 or 5 times slower than the Senko. So totally different action, a lot more dead. You know, the Senko has that it factor. The Yamamoto Senko has a lot of salt in it, and it has that wobble on the fall that the Yum Dinger does not have at all. The Dinger falls really slow, and the Senko falls like this. So anyway, the Yum Ned Dinger is a totally different bait than the Dinger itself, and I love that air pocket in the top, so you can insert a rattle yourself, and it's still buoyant with a rattle in it. So last bait I want to talk about that you guys need to know about is the 6 Sense Ned Fry. This is another bait that I don't hear many people talking about, okay? They come stock as a 4.6 inch bait, so they're actually pretty long. And now I cut these down to a standard Ned rig size at just about 3 inches, somewhere between 2 3/4 and 3 inches long. They come in some awesome colors, though it doesn't really matter what color you use. There are 3 or 4 different colors that I've got stocked in my box right now, but after seeing what I saw today, I am probably going to stock up on a few more colors. This right here is Electric Shiner. It's a green top and just like a clear pearl belly with a lot of flake in there, just like a standard Electric Shiner, Electric Shad type of color. But this bait is extremely buoyant, okay? It's got a flat bottom and a rounded top with kind of ribs all along the bait. Let me show you this up close, show you all around the bait. You got to know about this guy, okay? I think you could throw the standard size 4.6 on a drop shot, on a shaky head, on a Nico rig, and it would be absolutely killer. But cut down and use specifically as a Ned rig bait. The Ned Fry is super effective. And just like I said with that Ned Dinger and a couple of others, especially the Ned Zone from X Zone lures, those 3 baits are going to stand straight up every time without fail. Whether you're hopping the bait or dragging the bait, doing whatever. Those are my top 3 choices for Ned rig baits if you're not fishing with a Z-Man Elastec floating bait, okay? Following those, I was really impressed with the Strike King Ned Ocho. And then kind of tied after that would be the RoboWorm Ned Worm and the Missile Baits Ned Bomb. And then the Strike King Rage Cutter Worm. And then the Guggen Baits. One other that I didn't mention that Justin had sent me that I hadn't fished with, I still haven't fished with it. This is the 10,000 Fish Tsukoshi Bug. So 10,000 Fish is a brand under the Ketchco Mystery Tackle Box umbrella of companies. And they make some good baits. This one is made from an Elastec type of material. So it's super stretchy, super durable, and it is super buoyant. Doesn't have a lot of action to it, to be honest. So I liked that it stands up very, very well. But I would not go out of my way to buy these, especially because you can't necessarily get them everywhere. So I put this like 4th on my list. I think the X Zone Ned Zone is my favorite because it's got the action and the colors. Second would be the 6 Sense Ned Fry because it comes a little bit longer, is more versatile, comes in some great colors. Third would be the Yum Ned Dinger. And then everything else after that. So, Jack Erickson, have I used the clickbait? No. Do I have it? Yes. I just got one not too long ago, and to be honest with you, I feel fine about it. Not super jazzed about it, but I feel whatever about it. I wish my space was a little bit cleaner so I could show you guys what I think blows it out of the water. I'll have to show you guys another time, but I posted about it on my Instagram the other day, and it is the Battle Baits Brigade Blade, which is, it actually looks really similar in terms of the head to blade connection and the way that there's 3 beads here. The Battle Baits one has a propeller just in front of the head and then a blade in the front that seems to me to be a lot more effective, and the skirt material is higher quality. The hook is higher quality. The Guggen clickbait looks fine to me. Honestly, I will fish it. I'll try it out, see what it's like. But my expectations are relatively low. I just already have so many chatterbaits that I fish and have a high degree of confidence in that I don't see it working its way into my box and being a go-to whatsoever. So that's just me. Tim says the Tsukoshi Bug is definitely a sleeper. I hear you, man. Do those Ned rigs work in grassy ponds? They will, but that's where the Lifted Jigs Ned EWG really comes into play, dude. Okay? If you're fishing grassy ponds, you're going to want to have an EWG style hook on it, for sure. If not, you're going to want to have a weedless jig head. Now, they do make... Z-Man makes a weedless Ned that that has a decent keeper on it. Why can't I find any right now? Here's one. So this is the weed guard that Z-Man makes. It's got a dual wire weed guard. And this thing will do an okay job, okay? I like it. I would not say it's dynamite, but your hook set is going to be just a little bit better. Not much. But the Lifted Jigs Ned EWG, and now Owner makes their own called the Blockhead Offset, something like that. And it's the same exact thing. There are a few companies now making this style head that just ripped off Lifted Jigs. But this was the original. It's got a 1/0 hook on it, which perfectly fits a standard, 3-inch Ned bait. And if you're fishing in grass, this is going to be your style hook, okay? For sure. You're going to do a lot less of picking grass off of your bait. So I highly, highly recommend that you get some of those EWG style Ned heads if you want to fish a Ned rig in grassy ponds. Personally, I don't throw a Ned rig very frequently in grassy ponds. What I do instead is change gears just ever so slightly. And I will fish something similar. But here's a little chatterbait made by Z-Man. And this is called the, what do they call it? This is called the Flashback Mini, okay? This is literally a mini chatterbait. They make it in a 1/16 and a 1/8. I throw the 1/8 a lot more just because I find that it doesn't blow out of the water nearly as frequently. It will stay in that, say, 1 to 3 foot range very, very well. So you throw the same profile bait on there, but perhaps something with a little bit of a kick on the back. So throw something like the new Z-Man Baby Goat on there. Throw something like that Strike King Rage Ned Cutter Worm, or a 3-inch paddle tail swim bait, or something with a straight tail on it. This is the TRD Minnows from Z-Man. There's a lot of good small profile baits that you can throw on the back of this. This has a size 1 hook on there, just like a standard Ned head, but it's got a chatterbait blade on it. So it's going to come through grass a little bit better, a lot of bit better. It's going to swim through the water column. And yeah, I would throw a jig over a Ned rig if you're going to work a bait really slowly. But that's just me, man. How to retrieve the chatterbait. Yeah, if you're fishing grassy ponds, I don't know that the Lucky Craft lipless crankbait is the best option, just because ponds usually aren't that deep, and the LV500 weighs 3/4 of an ounce, and it sinks like a rock. If you're throwing a lipless, I would look into something like the Strike King Red Eye Shad. That thing has an interesting flutter on the fall, and it can be swum high in the water column easily. It's good for ripping out of grass. It's a very versatile lipless crankbait, and it's cheap too. So give that a look if you're fishing ponds. But as for the chatterbait, yeah, you want to mix up your retrieve. So usually you can fish that thing on a straight retrieve. Once you get a little bit bogged down in the grass, you're going to pop it free, and that will cause reaction strikes. If you're not getting bit in that style, I would just vary up your retrieve. Kind of burn it every 4 or 5 cranks of the reel. So 1, 2, 3, and pop, pop. Just speed it up every so often. And I've gotten bit really well that way. So the chatterbait is really versatile, to be honest. I don't fish it super slow, but I will vary up my retrieve quite a bit. No problem, Riley. Have a great rest of your night. I'm going to dip out of here in a second as well. Guys, feel free to get in touch with me through YouTube, in the comments, or on Instagram, in my DMs, or send me an email to hooksetsarefree18@gmail.com. I'm always happy to chat with you online and offline whenever you want. So thank you so much for hanging out tonight. I've got to pee. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about the giveaway and give you an opportunity to enter here on YouTube. One more time, we've got 2 6-cent baits 4 of these baits are courtesy of Riley Belden herself. So one is the Quake 70 lipless crankbait in the chrome threadfin shad color. One is the Curve 55 medium diving crankbait in the Craw Bomb color. One is the Storm Wigglewort in the Phantom Brown Crawfish color. One is the Norman Middle N in the Sour Grape color, Chartreuse Purple back. 2 Berkeley Flicker Shads in the size 7. These are going to dive a little bit deeper. One in the black silver color and one in the blue tiger color. And finally, one of the Strike King Mark Rose Lil Ledge spoon. This is a 1 ounce jigging spoon in the yellow perch color. Excuse me. So guys, good luck to everybody. If you want to enter that giveaway, win those 7 hard baits that are awesome for this time of year in the winter and in the early spring. Cold water cranking or vertical jigging with that spoon. All you got to do is subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, like this video, leave a comment down below, not in the chat section, but in the comment section down below after this video is done processing. You are entered in the giveaway. If you want to hop over onto Instagram and check out my post from yesterday, you can enter there multiple times by tagging some of your friends, making sure you follow Riley as well. Just follow the rules that I posted yesterday, and I will draw a winner on Monday night, February 1st. So thank you guys so much for hanging out tonight. Thank you for your support. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers. Have a good night.